Salamander.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whenever you may be. This is the Overnight. I'm Dan Foss, and tonight we've got Guns and Barbecue. How's it going, Barbecue?
Good evening. Going pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Gun websites, how you doing? If you said something, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, fair to Midland. Thanks for hosting.
Gizzard Gary?
Well, couldn't be better. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's good to hear. And Hillbilly Up. American Hillbilly Up.
Whatever you want to call me, buddy, that's just fine. I'm doing better than finer than frogs here.
Well, that's good to hear. The thumbnail, G-Webs. I used AI to make the thumbnail.
I've seen that.
I didn't have a topic, so I punched it into the Microsoft AI, and it just gave me like Nyserpa Bruin and kind of the normal, and it did the last suggestion it gave me when I asked what's a good Second Amendment / gun topic for a live chat. It gave me some of the big Supreme Court rulings that have happened. And then the last thing it suggested was rapid fire podcast.
Really? That's interesting.
Yep. So you can tell Gunworks that Microsoft is suggesting him.
I will. That's actually pretty cool.
Then I put in for thumbnail. Since I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I didn't know what to make for a thumbnail, so I just asked the AI a mouse in front of a computer screen. They gave me a mouse in front. They were okay. So it gave me some suggestions like add a leather jacket. So I said add a leather jacket, and it looked better. So I told it make it cooler. And the picture I used is one of them that I used, and it looks like a real mouse sitting in front of a computer. I'm still not absolutely comfortable with the AIs and the robots.
It'll only get better.
Well, one thing I did when I was looking up the Microsoft version, that they're, I don't know if it's just
Which one did you use to draw that picture?
that was the Microsoft one that that they're previewing with the Windows, and it's the little bit of reading that I did, it's geared a little more towards coding, so it's meant to integrate with other programs. Whereas like Chat GPT is a broader scope of what it does, but it's still, that I have sent you some of the pictures that it's given me. So I don't know, being free, and I think I only have I can't remember if it was 30 questions it's letting me ask, because it didn't say there's a limit, but on each question, I think I'm up to 18 out of 30. So I'm guessing it'll stop being free after 30.
It slows down, at least for the images thing that I use for Microsoft. It'll just slow down. It gives them to you pretty quick, 15 a day.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just happens slower.
Well, some of those also reset every month. I know one of my, on a few things I have, it says, 9 left for this month or 10 left for this month.
Yeah, I'm not sure because it's I can't think of the name of it. It's kind of a preview of it, so people can kind of see how it works. So I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Beta?
Yeah, I'm not sure. They just kind of said, "Hey, it just on my desktop, it just appeared." I realized that there was something new on the bottom corner, but it's not on my laptop. So I think they're just giving people a chance to get a taste of it. So trying to use it sparingly, partly so I'm not blowing through it, just thinking up dick pics, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't plan on paying for it. I'm not going to pay the robots to dominate me.
What if they're wearing leather?
I don't know. But so tonight, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about. We can talk about anything anybody wants to talk about. I watched I think it was a short, YouTube short. Yeah, just I was flipping through, and there was a guy with an AR, with tactical gear on, and he's saying, "Don't use a suppressor for home defense on your rifle." And his reasoning was the flash and the concussion of your AR, and he's talking, he's like, yeah, you're probably going to have, I can't remember if it's like an 11-inch barrel or something, but my immediate thought was, no. Yes, that is a thing, that concussion and the flash can be disorienting for them, also for you. You're in a confined space, which magnifies that concussion. There are people who will keep hearing protection by their home defense guns, but I don't want a short-barreled AR to shoot inside. It just did not seem like a good idea to me without it being suppressed. I mean, I have a 300 blackout, a 7.5-inch 300 blackout with a suppressor for home defense. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on this. I know G-Webs, you've gone through like a shoot house where you've shot kind of in an indoor situation.
Not with tiny rifles with suppressors, though.
Well, I know it will be magnified with the rifle, but even shooting a handgun indoor versus shooting outdoors, there's going to be a difference.
I mean, if you've got a suppressor, I would say it's more of an issue of if you have to make that situation happen. If that situation happens and you use your suppressor, then the issue would be if they take the suppressor as evidence or whatever. And that's just annoying. And it can't.
Sorry, G.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they can because they're not. I don't know if ATF would have to come in and take it. Like, I don't know how all that works.
I don't know. That wasn't, like in the video that I watched, that wasn't the reasoning he gave.
Yeah,
His was-
that's one of my initial thoughts was just like, the idea that people have of, carry the cheapest gun you have, because if you had to use it, and I'm like, I'd rather just carry whatever I shoot best, and if it happens to be the most expensive gun I have, and that same deal with a suppressor, like, oh well, I spent this much on it, my $200 tax stamp, and then it gets taken as evidence or whatever, that would suck. But like you said, that wasn't this person's, or at least not one of the reasons that the person gave for why they're saying not to do this. And as far as concussion and stuff goes, I feel like that would be lessened by having this suppressor, because it's capturing a good chunk of those gases.
Well, it is. That's why I have it, is so I don't have to worry about hearing protection. With subsonics, my AR is hearing safe. It's still kind of, I wouldn't want to shoot it a lot, but a few shots, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to be bleeding out of my ears.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I prefer a handgun inside just because of, tighter quarters. But I built that one for kind of a specific reason. It would be to stop something at the door rather than to be, running through the house with it.
One reason I think I would, if I had a suppressor, because I don't, but if I was gonna be weighing between, should I have a suppressor or should I just have Ear Pro, next to the bed, or next to that firearm that I intend to use as, the home defense gun, in whatever the situation ends up being, the suppressor can already be affixed to the firearm that you choose to be designated as that home defense gun. But in the heat of the moment, you very well could forget to grab that Ear Pro.
Yeah.
It could be right there. But tunnel vision sets in, you grab your gun, next thing you know, you're running to combat the threat. And I realize, you'll hear everybody in the room say, oh, you should never leave, the safe space of your bedroom, or, wherever you are, you shouldn't go hunt it out. Well, I've got kids. I've got to get to them, and if that person's between me and them, I've got to go seek out that threat. So the idea of just sitting and chilling is not always a viable option for every person. So again, if I was in that situation, say I, grabbed the 1911 or AR, whatever it is, you forget that Ear Pro, you're not just turning around to grab it. So I think in this situation, if you have the option of a suppressor, it wins again.
Oh, Gary, Hillbilly, you guys have any opinion?
Go ahead, Gary, if you got something. Wait.
I don't own anything with a suppressor on it. But if I did, I don't know. I mean, I always would worry more about Ear Pro, but I gotta tell you, it's all gonna depend on how much time you have. And I'm assuming a split-second decision like this, you're not going to have 30 seconds, a minute to find your Ear Pro, get it on, all this stuff. So if hearing protection is your main concern, the suppressor is probably a better deal. But hey, I mean, in my place, I'm in an apartment. I'm going to defend my place with a handgun, most likely. I can't be shooting holes in walls, stuff like that, collateral damage and everything else. So I'm going to have to be very discreet and try to get things done. So I don't know if it's a good answer to the question, but that's about all I can think of right at the moment.
Well, I don't know, it's a fine answer. It's your opinion. I'm not saying there is a right or wrong answer to this. I was just saying my initial thoughts when I saw the video, and part of it too was the way he was saying, he presented it was kind of like, you're stupid if you have a suppressor, because he wants the big flash and bang. And
Okay, I'm picking up what you're throwing down there, because I was a little confused as to like just the way it was presented before. But so I understand, like, oh, I want that big flash and bang to disorient that person, and then you were adding in, but then it could just as easily disorient you.
yeah,
I got you. Which I don't know. If you want a big flash and bang, maybe not have the bang, but just a bright flashlight that has a strobe feature, that's gonna cause a lot of disorientation in itself. And like Gizzard said, if hearing protection is a main concern, which if in a situation like that, I'm not going, oh, I hope that I don't go deaf from this, or I hope that I better grab iPro 2, because God forbid I lose the rest of my vision because Case came back and hit me in the eye or something. That would suck, but I'm just trying to get out of that situation alive.
let's see who
That
was
seems like when you describe it that way, it seems like somebody who was trying to come up with a point of view that would get discussed. So
yeah.
to make some kind of score points or to get people chatting about it. So it doesn't seem like anything has any, like in your own home. It doesn't seem like a tactic that I've ever heard someone come up with for any real reasons.
That was one of my thoughts too when I see videos like this, because there are people who will make make an outrageous statement to get views. And
a bunch of people chatting about it. Whole live chats will be talking about it, and people.
But I have heard other people say this in earnest, that they want that flash and that concussion.
So here's my other thing. Oh, sorry.
For
go ahead.
what? Somebody in your own home? What for? What? Like what? Do you?
I think he's saying to startle the person or persons, and I kind of understand what he's saying, but then again, I don't think anybody, my own personal view, is to say, "Hey, do this or you're stupid," or basically, type of deal, because there's different scenarios for different. Every situation is going to be different. And I mean, people, like, some of us live in the country. If you got chickens, you got farm animals or whatever, you might, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, hear something outside, it's a coyote getting whatever. I mean, it's great to have plans and all that, but sometimes, like, you don't even have time to put your pants on. You're in your underwear or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's good to have plans. I totally agree with that. But sometimes those plans just don't work out. As far as like grabbing the Air Pro or the case might be. My own personal preference, if I could stay stealth and use a suppressor, I definitely would. As far as Air Pro, I never used any Air Pro or hearing protection until I started YouTube, because somebody told me, he said, well, YouTube will, like, you need to use it or they'll, like, get mad because you don't have air protection on. And I've shot many of shotgun competitions and all that stuff. I've never ever used any Air Pro all my life, and I understand that that's not good for your ears. I totally understand that, and I would suggest Air Pro to people. But also, if you don't shoot without it, and the first time you shoot with it, and it's a total shock to you, you're screwed. I mean, honestly, you are. So I personally, I would choose a suppressed gun in that type of situation that you brought up over the, non-suppressed with the flash and the bang. Just because, I would rather them not see where I'm at, give up my deal. And if I had to, I agree with barbecue on this. Strobe light or a bright light would do way more, I think, for that. I have one place out there that I go feed at, and if I go out and it's dark, I have a light that's shining out, and I have to literally cover my hand to make sure I don't shine in my eyes, because if I do, I cannot see on out there where I'm going. So, like, if there would happen to be, an animal out there, that I would need to see, I can't see it because of the light, So, I don't know. I would have to. I understand where the guy's saying, where he's coming from, but personally, I would choose a silencer.
So at first I was thinking I understood where the guy was coming from, but then I got to thinking about this also. First, I'm going to touch on Ear Pro again. Unless you're using electronic Ear Pro, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage because you're limiting what you can hear. I don't care if you're in your own home or not, especially if you're keeping lights off, things like that, to, have the element of stealth and surprise, because, you should know your home better than anybody else. If you're not running electronic Ear Pro that is noise canceling and it's just standard, plain Jane Ear Pro that was around for decades, then, like I said, you're at a huge disadvantage. Likewise, if you're going to run electronic Ear Pro, then you need to get into a cycle where you're remembering to change out those batteries periodically, like, maybe every 6 months when you check the smoke detectors or something. That way, if that time ever comes, you don't throw it on and have dead batteries. But going back to this guy and this idea, why would I care about the noise and concussion and the flash from the muzzle? If I'm discharging a firearm in my home, myself or my family are in grave danger. Guarantee I want more than just to scare him with some flash and concussion. I want to be putting holes in him or her, whoever, the assailant might be, and making sure that they're taking a dirt nap.
Let me say a quick hello to everybody that was out there. Kingpin was out there a little earlier. Hillbilly Up, the Saints out there. Guns and Barbecue, Gizzard Gary, Mr. Bob Davalina, a Gunmetal Guy USA, Sergeant Joe Smith, and Garage Guy. I knew there was somebody else. Guns and Water. And I think that's everybody so far. Sorry, I think I cut somebody off.
It's just barbecue.
Oh no, I thought you were getting ready to say something, Hillbilly. I was all, I had just wrapped up, and I thought you were getting ready to say something again.
Really, when you was talking about like the AirPro being charged and stuff, maybe all you guys know about this. It's something that like it showed up on one of my advertisements. I remember on the phone or what, and I'm like, this is really cool. So I ordered a set. I haven't got them in yet, but we know how well like the little magnet chargers work. I really love those. I have like some lights for my guns and different stuff that's got the little magnet charger that like it just snaps on there, and then if you need it, you just pull it and like it comes apart. Well, I did see a deal. I got it ordered. It has a few different connectors for whatever size plug-in you have, but you plug it in, and on the back side that is a magnet connector. So like when you was talking about that popped in my head. I'm like, yeah, man, if you got some AirPro beside your bed and they are chargeable by USB or whatever, man, that little magnet connector would be perfect for something like that. Because you just grab it and it comes unhooked. And I don't know if you guys ever tried any of those, if they work or not, but I actually ordered some. And I think that's pretty exciting myself that they've made something like that.
I haven't used them yet, but I know people that have. Yeah, they're really good.
It sounds interesting, but lately I've been anti-rechargeable. I'd much rather deal with batteries. And that's one, I think, because of Olight. And like, fine, you're gonna make flashlights that just take this magnetic charger, but like every friggin' flashlight has its own type of charger. Absolutely hate it. I'm like, you're one company. Why can't you make a universal charger for your lights? This is ridiculous. But then I've got 2 of the Warrior 2 lights, I think it is. And the battery's just shot. And I've got to go buy a new battery for it. I can't just go and get some new battery. I got to go spend some ridiculous money at Olight for a new battery for this thing. And I'm like, I barely used it.
Yeah.
I've switched over to Streamlight, and while they take those goofy 123A or whatever they are, old type camera batteries, I'd much rather deal with those, knowing that I can go buy 6 or 8 in a pack and just have them. And when that light dies, I can just swap them out real quick, and I don't have to worry about recharging or anything else.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, I agree with you on that. That is a great deal. But like you said, different chargers for different deals. That thing I was talking about, that's what's cool about it. Because like you might have, say, 2 flashlights or 3 flashlights with 3 different charging, ports.
Yep.
You can put this magnet deal for that port in each one of them, and they'll all charge on the magnet, the little arm that slaps to
now, is
So
this?
I thought that was interesting.
Like, so you get a charger that can just has like different nipples, I guess you could say,
No.
that go into the charging.
No, think of
on
like
your phone or the EarPro or whatever else, and then the magnetic part is actually the charging cord, and just hooks up, and you just leave the nipple in the device.
Oh, you're saying like that. I was going to say think of like a thumbtack, but yeah, you're saying like a nipple that goes into each device. Yeah.
I used to have a cell phone charger like that. It was friggin' awesome.
That's what I
So
was thinking.
regardless if you got like 2 or 3 different products and you got those that take different, charging ends, you already have
Yep.
them in the product, you leave them in there and then you just slap the magnet charger on it.
Yeah, those are really slick. No, I agree 100%. Those are friggin' awesome.
I keep both rechargeable and standard battery flashlights. I like the rechargeable, but if I have to, it's really easy just to switch out a AA or a AAA.
Yep.
And this might sound silly to you guys, but I got, DeWalt tools, whatever brand you got, and I got their flashlight, and those batteries last a long time, and that's sitting right at the end of our hallway close to our door. So it's sitting there standing up. Anytime you walk out the door and you need a flashlight, you just grab it, and that battery, regardless how long it's been sitting there, it's probably still, really good. Which I mean, depending on what scenario you're in, but yet I feel that's also a good option to have.
I was watching Pat in the Bunker did a chat from he was spraying his fields, but he near the end his phone was almost dead, and he had a rechargeable battery. I don't remember what brand, if it was DeWalt or whatever, but it had like a little adapter so he could plug in a USB cord and charged his phone off his rechargeable battery.
Yeah, those are nice.
I like the little jump pack ones that you can use to jumpstart your car, and they put a little cheesy flashlight on them, which the flashlights always suck, but like they got 2 or 3 different USB ports on them, and now they got USB-C and everything else. Those are pretty slick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got one that's sitting somewhere right over here because I forgot to put it back in the car. Used to keep one in my wife's car, but back when her car got broken into, they got her first aid kit and the jump pack and I think her CDs. But
Oh man. That stinks.
yeah, that was a while ago, and she had a really nice first aid kit. It was kind of like a binder, had a bunch of Band-Aids and gauze and little packs of water all in it.
Oh wow.
That's pretty nifty.
Found it at Costco and have never seen one like it again.
Yeah, and they probably got what, $3 out of that at the pawn shop or wherever they take it. Yeah, that's what stinks.
Yeah, Mr. Bob Dabalina said it. If I have a gun in my hand, somebody played stupid games, and I'm awarding stupid prizes. Guns and water. For me, no NFA stuff for self-defense. Don't want stuff in evidence room. Police trade Glocks, Mossbergs, Remingtons, ARs. Already go for cheap. Even when you're righteous, expect examination. I'm not worried about, if I have to use something, kind of look at it kind of as the tool. If I have to use a tool for a job, I bought it to do that job, and if I lose it because I had to use it, it did its job.
Yep.
Sounds like a pretty wise statement right there.
And overall, cans they're just awesome fun. They're really fun to shoot.
Yeah, I think I'm fixing to go down that rabbit hole.
I've been thinking about it too, Hillbilly.
I put it off for years because of the NFA and the extra hoops and
Tax stamps what burns my ass.
What? Yeah, because if something happens to me, then I'm trying to get everything set up so my wife doesn't have to basically be burdened with all this stuff that she doesn't have any interest in or know how to deal with. So I've got my brother-in-law on my trust so he can take over, my suppressor, and I need to get a will done so the guns and stuff are all taken care of too.
Yeah. I mean, really, everybody needs a will, guys. I mean, it's simple. You can actually do it online, I think, for $50 or less. If you don't have a will, you need to make one, and you can always go back and change it, do whatever it's called. I forget the word, but yeah, you can upgrade it or change whatever. But that going into probate does not do anybody any good at all.
One of the other things I was kind of thinking about is when there's guns with movies with guns in them, like John Wick or anything like that. Is that good for the Second Amendment / gun community? Is it bad because of somehow it's some ways that it's portrays guns, or is it just kind of neutral? It's just a thing. It's neither good nor bad. I haven't made up my mind yet.
Bad. It's like sugar. Seems good in moderation. It's fine, but it's not in moderation, and everybody abuses it, so it's bad.
Can you elaborate more, G?
What do you mean? The movies, everybody who's good says, well, it's no big deal. It's just a movie. So we don't pay attention, but everybody who never seen a gun before in their life has only seen movies. So they think, well, we've said this many times, guns are always deadly when they need to be, and they're always useless when they need to be. And no one who really pays attention puts two and two together there. So they just see guns as these superhero, is that a talisman or some sort of, they put it on a pedestal. Guns are the most dangerous things in the world. Like a person with a gun can take down an airplane, they think. Like they have this unrealistic, they've never seen one. Well, half these people live in cities and they Uber around. They probably think that you can get into car accidents and cars explode. Like they've never seen
the
one.
Glock 7.
No, I'm just saying in real life, like, you watch a crime show,
what they see in movies. Yeah, so they hear about whatever bill's expiring, and God forbid if we don't renew this, people are going to slip through metal detectors because they're printing off 3D guns at home, and
well, yeah, the whole mix. But yeah, exactly. I think that's the bad part of it, is that no one pays any attention on our side. We're like, we see a bad gun movie and we're like, that was a dumb movie, but we don't think about the harm it's doing to all the people who are non-gun people, whatever we want to call them. And then who knows what they're thinking about guns. Anyway, I don't think we'd have laws about you can't even have a gun here if they really had any concept of how many people own guns and what guns can really do. I think the laws themselves show that they have really unrealistic understanding of guns. I'll shut up.
I was actually going to go with the opposite and say that I think it's good because at the end of the day, just like we're seeing with video games so often right now, there's groups of people who see that firearm and they're like, man, that looks really cool. Then they find out, oh, I can go get my hands on one. I can actually shoot that in real life. They go check it out, et cetera, et cetera. And then eventually they become firearms owners. Some of them even become, pro 2A, the whole 9 yards. And I realize what you're saying, but at the same time, people are ignorant. They're going to have those biases no matter what. Now, can the movies add to those biases? Of course. But at the end of the day, I think the amount of people that we have coming over that might have been fence sitters before and going, man, that just looks so cool. And not only that, but then they get an education about them because of like, wait a minute, you mean I've got to, go and actually do all these things just to get this thing, and then I can't just run around like John Wick. Like that's not physically possible. Like you can't just dual wield and hit everything. Like that's incredibly inaccurate. I should be using two hands and all this stuff, and then they can go back and introduce friends, family members who may have also been fence sitting, and impart that knowledge and bring them into it.
It is very tough to hit something when you're dual wielding.
It is.
I don't want to throw shit on that or water on it or whatever, but we already had that spike of people, right? Like whatever year you want to call it. I don't know exactly, but somewhere in the last couple of years, that spike of people that we've never seen before, a whole new group of gun people came along, and now they're here. And we had the Bipartisan Gun Control Act. We didn't have any reaction to that. We've had how many now? 3 or 4? Like it's really difficult to keep track of how many comment periods we've had. No retaliation, no like ultra concern. So I agree with you. I was in all those chats when we had those conversations throughout the years, but we're not seeing new gun owners grow all the time. They're certainly not going home and bringing their grandmas and their existing families on board. They're becoming gun owners, and then some of them are sitting there and some of them are returning their guns and some of them are buying more guns. Like I don't know if anyone can know what that breakdown is, but right, we know that they're certainly not like constantly growing because we're seeing the number of guns purchased slow down, and the murmur and the activities and the growth of the organizations out there that grew up with them as the new gun owners came in. Like all those those organizations aren't growing, especially at exponential growth rates. So I don't want to throw water on it because it was a great accomplishment and a great positive move, but I just don't think we're going to see, unless there's something weird happens in this election, I don't think we're going to see anything else happen from now on. Now I'll shut up if this next election guns become a bigger issue, but right now guns were like way down there under immigration and the war. The war is like the number one issue, then the economy, and then immigration, and then guns. So I just don't see guns and people's opinion about guns piggybacking or jumping up or leapfrogging, I guess is the right word, up into the polls. And that means that I agree that we have new gun owners, but we're never going to get more gun owners than we just got. Like what's going to happen? A new gun sport, like a new realization that like we're never going to get more new gun owners than we had in the whatever the bullshit of a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but so we can't expect them just to come into the community and be gung-ho either, though. Like we've got to bottle feed them.
And only like 10% even become gun owners, and then 10% of them want to be interested in something, and 10% of them follow through. I know it's like not going to be all of them.
And as far as the comment periods go, I mean, when you look at the breakdown of pro-gun comments versus anti-gun, I mean, it was what, 20-1? ATF's just going to do what they want to do. It like even if we got all those new firearms owners to know about the federal register, because I mean, heck, I can't tell you how many firearms owners that I know that are like, comment period, what's that? And I'm like, do you never listen to anything I tell you? Like, holy cow, because it's in one ear out the other. They completely forget, or oh man, that's a big deal. I'll be sure to do that. And then, like I said, talk to them a few months later or something, just, oh, what's that? And you're like, oh my gosh. So to think that new firearms owners are gonna have the forethought or anything. I mean, some will, because they're like, man, this is an awesome thing that I didn't know I had the right to do like this. And like, they're gung ho about it. But at the end of the day, even if those estimated almost 10 million supposedly new firearms owners, because again, they're just going off of the amount of 4473s that were filled out in 2020. So
Whatever.
realistically, it's probably like 3 or 4 million if we were lucky, but still, it's a good chunk. But even if we had those 3 or 4 million come on and all write letters, I really think ATF was just going to do whatever they planned on doing. The comment periods was just a formality they had to do.
Yeah, but would that be because of the movies, though? I think is what he's asking.
Oh, so bump stocks, pistol braces, all those. No, I don't think those are because of movies. That's just stuff where they're like, oh, we can do this now.
Well, where I see in the movies sometimes, like, just go back as far as Rambo, pulling the M60 off of a truck and then shooting it one-handed. I mean, there's people out there probably think, yeah, you can do that. I mean,
oh, 100%.
And John Wick, that magazine holds at least 100 rounds, in that pistol. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So some of it is far-fetched enough.
What do you mean I got to reload?
Yeah, that people don't know anything at all about guns. That might be their, I don't know, but that might be their conceptions. Like, yeah, he's got a pistol, but that thing, I watched John Wick, or I watched, whoever, in this movie, they shot 100 bad guys with that one gun or whatever, pistol or whatever. So I really don't know. I've never really thought about it before, Foss. I think that's a good topic.
So I'm gonna toss one more thing in. I really think that people's environment and what they see portrayed on the news is far more of a reason that they end up having these misconceptions than what they see in a movie. I think if we could fix some of the issues in some of the environments like Chicago or Baltimore, things like that, where people see gun use as a good thing, where they're getting to experience good things happening with a firearm rather than bad things, that would go a long way. And then if we were able to fix the way the news and media report things that are happening, whether it be on the street in Chicago or when an atrocity happens or anything else, then they would be less apt to see something like what John Wick's doing or Rambo or whatever else and go, oh yeah, that's 100% real, and this is why guns are so scary. I think they already have it ingrained in them from those environmental factors in the first place.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like I said, I hadn't made up my mind because I can see it being kind of, it gets people interested. Oh, this is cool. Maybe they want to check it out for themselves. But then, the way it's portrayed sometimes on the bad side, I don't know. It's something that I haven't put a lot of thought into. I was just kind of thinking about today.
I think that's something that if the NRA a long time ago would have put like concerted effort into, they could have, like offered Hollywood, like, hey, anytime you're going to do gun stuff, let us know, and we'll be happy to hook you up with the guns or help you with the stuff so you know what you're doing and have like a real comfortable relationship with them. Like use it as PR almost for what we got going on. But it's just reckless as shit. Everybody does what they want.
And
a little disclaimer on the movie. This pistol only holds 12 rounds or whatever.
gonna
that.
say another
People are
thing that we
shot, they
haven't really
don't
touched.
actually go flying through the air. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's another interesting thing. Yeah, like probably people have an unrealistic expectation of what gunshots are from that. And
Well,
then
I
the other way
mean,
around too. Like you can get shot and then be like, "Oh yeah, I just got shot with a bullet. No big deal. I just put a bandage on it and I'm okay for the rest of the movie."
like we know that 9mm will just blow your lung out. So
If you're a squirrel, maybe.
I've just been watching Fallout, and they just essentially inject you with an injection, and then you're good to go. You're just healthy again. I'm sure if we were paramedics, we'd be talking about the unrealistic way portrayal of like medicine. I don't know if you ever pay attention. It's just my thing. But if you're watching a movie and they just yank a knife out and keep going, it's like you're right. You just bled out right there, buddy. But they don't first aid or initial care. Like some movies kind of care about that nowadays, but for a long time it was just reckless. Like they showed some dangerous ass shit on movies.
Well,
Well,
I go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it just made me think of like the old westerns.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
we tie my bandana around there or something.
Yeah, heat up a knife,
Yeah.
let me cauterize it. What were you saying, Hillbilly?
I was gonna say I seen it's been a while back, and I don't remember if it's on a podcast or what, but anyway, somebody's talking about they got their doctor, which was a surgeon or whatever, like come out and start shooting guns because like he'd been talking to him or whatever and found out that he's a gun tuber or whatever. And like he come out and he shot some guns with him. He really enjoyed it, but he goes, it was an AR or whatever. He goes, yeah. He said, but my problem is like, I see these, victims come into the hospital or whatever with these gunshot wounds, and this just like I feel these ARs just makes the problem worse. He goes, my dad was a doctor, and and I don't really remember him talking about as many gun wounds as like what we see today. And so this YouTuber told me, said, well, you realize that maybe back in the day, if somebody got shot with 30-06, they didn't make it to the hospital. They just had a big hole through them, or whatever. Whereas, like, you see these people that's been shot by this or that, and you're able to save their lives, he's like, so, there's a way big difference in like calipers, or whatever from maybe back in the day, whatever the case might be. And he said that the doctor said, you know what, I didn't even think about that, And so sometimes there's stuff out there that people might not even think about, whereas like, yeah, back in the day, well, yeah, they might not have made it to the hospital or whatever, and this AR might, put out, a few more rounds or something, whatever. You might see more shots, victims of that, but they are living too sometimes. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's a kind of a rabbit hole.
well, there's a lot to unpack there too, because it's
Yeah.
not just the caliber or anything like that. Again, you got to look at environmental factors. Like gang warfare and fighting over turf and all that. Like, I mean, yeah, you heard about mobsters and things like that, but I mean, you go to any big city now, and gang warfare can be a real serious thing. And when you got people that are just willy-nilly shooting each other because, you're on the wrong turf or whatever, I mean, that creates a lot of issues. And again, like with mobsters, how often did you hear about, them just going and doing a random drive-by and, multiple people that are innocent bystanders get, injured in that melee. Like the mobsters were doing stuff up close and personal, and
They did,
know,
though. They
what's
definitely
that?
did. They definitely did.
Let's say I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I'm just saying like the frequency of it, I don't think was as great.
And I always say too that you had that was the 30s, let's say, because right before the NFA. So this is the 20s and 30s. They had radio, but they essentially would write everything and have dime novels and like the beginnings of comics and that kind of thing, and serials and stuff like series and newspapers and that. So those writers had all the incentive in the world to, to sensationalize, that the right word, like all the stuff that was happening. If something happened, they write about it happening 10-fold in amplitude. So I think there was a lot of that was, again, media, maybe not intentional, but maybe it was, but media manipulation of the perception of what was going on. And when people think this is what's happening, it's easy to get them to vote for legislation.
Rich White's out there. Must not be able to sleep. Good evening, Rich White.
Good evening.
And Midget with Carrot Cake was asking about CCWs. We're a shall issue state, so you just fill out your paperwork, go down. It's really easy.
Well, technically, all states are supposed to be shall issue now.
Can people who like carrot cake get a CCW?
I like carrot cake. It's not my favoriteest, but I
Yeah, I like carrot cake,
All right.
especially if it has cream cheese icing on it.
That I'm not the biggest fan of.
That's the
Oh,
worst thing about it. I'll eat it naked, but I don't like that kind of that frosting.
I don't like cream cheese.
You eat carrot cake and you see better in the dark, so it's always a plus.
I don't mind
Yeah.
carrot cake naked, I guess.
Oh,
Then it's
and
like zucchini
sorry you have to move to Bremerton. I grew up right across the bay in Port Orchard, so I'm very familiar with Bremerton.
The frosting like that tastes like it's bad or something. It tastes like it's spoiled, so I don't like it.
Yep.
It's too thick.
that's my favorite.
Oh,
Cream
no.
cheese is
See,
disgusting.
Rich knows.
There's probably a thing or two that cream cheese is appropriate for, but like to offset something else that's going on that's good, and it's just there to calm that other thing going on down, like something hot maybe.
Are you guys familiar with the term Bremolo for a large lady?
No.
I've heard it, but
That comes from Bremerton. That Bremolo is from Bremerton. I don't know what else do we want to talk about.
I was going to strengthen G Webb's and Hillbilly's arguments and actually say, because like so far we've talked about like John Wick, Rambo, things like that, things that we would see as more of a positive use of firearms, I guess you could say. While the way that they may be presented in the movies may not be realistic, it's not like it's negative uses. There's a greater good that's coming from those. But then I was going to mention, like when they whack Tommy and Goodfellas, and the use of the suppressor and, the way suppressors are portrayed as being, dead silent. That's obviously a huge issue. And I think one that at least politicians really like to try and use against us, like when we had the Hearing Protection Act getting pushed through the House and then just die in Senate. And they're like, oh, well, these terrible things will happen. So I don't know. I guess more so are the movies good or detriment more so just when it comes to the politicians and how they want to then use those fallacies against us? Or is it better with the people that we are able to bring in.
Was this even a poll, or are we just saying a bunch of stuff for free?
I think we're saying a bunch of stuff for free.
Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff for free.
But I think it's more than just the politicians, because they come up with, well, they're representatives, right? They're just the extract of the opinion. I guess every once in a while they come up with something out their butt, but for the most part, the stuff they come up with comes from the constituents, and then where do the constituents get it? From culture and from each other, right? From watching stuff. So
I don't know. I'm not entirely sold on that, because too many constituents just rely on whatever the heck their elected representative says now.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if
for
the-
sure. But that 20% or that 7% that are noisy, where are they getting their ideas from, I guess. But you're right.
Yeah, but you have to realize if person A and person B comes up to a politician and they're, flashing some money in their face and says, these are our beliefs, we want this or that, that encourages what they decide way more. I mean, it's sad to say, but way more than what their constituents, are wanting. And I mean, it's a sad day, I think, but, not all politicians that way, but there's a good bunch of them that are. And, just like most of us are gun tubers, and we can see how ads work. We get paid if you're monetized. We get paid the lowest of any other, type of niche, and it's because the advertisers say we're not going to, pay very much money to be advertised on these channels. So if you think that makes a difference in YouTube, just think how much of a difference it makes with our political figures, when they're actually getting the money,
That's true. When they complain about the NRA being a big money, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the truth and who's really big money, pharmaceuticals and oil and who knows what. We only get barely $100 cash to be in this chat tonight.
I only got $1, bro.
You guys are getting paid?
I get this envelope delivered right before the show. I open it up.
I had to pay Foss.
So,
Nice.
Like, literally, I got an email that said, "I'm not monetized. $100 to be on the chat." I was like, "It is Foss's chat. It's gonna be pretty awesome."
Well, it's kind of like a prorated by area, so
Oh, because I'm the furthest away. I understand. I just hope that you didn't realize that was just a IOU I wrote.
I was
Vulcan
wondering
Rumbles.
why Sergeant Joe Smith was commenting so much out there. You got 5K just to comment, bro.
Yeah, 5K pesos. I've got a set of Smith & Wesson throwing knives.
Oh, nice.
I need to make a target
can
so I can.
you not go large screen for that next time?
Way to
Wow.
flex.
There we go. So it comes with a set of 3.
Oh, wow.
Little nylon holder. So
Those
Why
look
don't
like.
they ever? Sorry, go ahead, Bill.
I was gonna say those look like they should end point first pretty easy. I like that style.
yeah, they're pretty well balanced. It's about 50-50.
Oh wow, nice.
We'll see. We'll play with them. And
What are you going to throw them into then?
I think I'm going to go with make that target I talked about, cutting up a 4x4 and gluing them together.
You ever seen where you take like a bunch of cardboard and you stack it together and then you shoot at that like if you were shooting at the edge of a piece of plywood, like so you'll shoot at the edges of the cardboard instead
No.
of
What if
the meat of the cardboard?
he got a traditional corkboard dartboard?
They do knives tear them up pretty quick.
I wasn't sure how quick they would destroy it.
I'm pretty deadly accurate, so that red part in the center gets eaten out after about three knives, and then
I figured, a
metal.
8-foot 4x4 is only $10. So $10, some glue and some time.
Do you have
Perfect
any,
opportunity to make the kid have to saw that thing. You're gonna cut it like 6 inches long or something, or 8 inches long. Chop that thing into 8-inch pieces and stack them together. Have the kid like with a handsaw.
No, make him do it with a saw out of the Swiss Army knife.
The hatchet.
Goodness.
Yeah.
A hatchet would
Yeah.
waste too much wood.
around here with a lot of being on, lake, a lot of boat docks, we can get like thick pieces of styrofoam, foot and a half, 2 foot, or actually probably, bigger of styrofoam, and then, good sized. And we always use our throwing knives and our bow and arrows on that.
Yeah, but I don't want a bunch of styrofoam in my backyard.
Oh, it don't break up. I mean, but yeah, it's
Is it more
We-
dense than like packaging styrofoam?
no, ours are just big floating, pieces to keep docks up. And like you have to cut them with chainsaws. I mean, I guess you cut them with a handsaw, but we always just take a chainsaw and just cut them into, like 4-foot tall pieces. So you end up with like a 4x4 piece and just laying them up against a tree or the fence or whatever. And we use that for our bow and arrows and our knives. And actually, I have that sitting behind. I have some of those behind my boards on my backstop on my gun range. But yeah, they don't like just really fall apart. I mean, but
Yeah, those ones are a lot more dense. They're packed a lot tighter than traditional styrofoam.
yeah.
Guns and Water said angle iron on the sides with nuts and all thread to make them into clamps for the cardboard. That's how one of my clubs makes archery targets.
Back when I worked at the county jail, I forget what we would get in, but whatever it was, it came in this giant thing of plastic, and it was a fairly heavy duty plastic in the first place. And the one sergeant would take it, and after like collecting two or three things of this plastic, he would stuff it into a cardboard box real tight, and he would shoot his crossbow at it. And he said best target he had. I was like, really? He's like, never blows through. Which, I mean, I've seen a lot of targets that are supposed to be rated for crossbows, and the crossbows will still blow through them. I'm like, that's insane. But just stuffing that plastic into the cardboard box. The only problem is, you with a throwing knife, probably going to go through the cardboard box fairly quick, unless you're like G-Webs and just hit the little red circle constantly.
Well, we'd always paint these circles on ours, Yeah.
One time I had a little practice bow and arrow that couldn't have been 10 pounds. Those little kid ones. They use basically a piece of clothesline for the string. And then I wanted to get a backstop for it. So I took this big garbage bag of 9mm that somebody was throwing away. And I shot that little 10-pound arrow. And that thing went right through that bag of 9mm like it was nothing.
Why would you do that to the arrow?
I didn't.
I mean, then it had to touch all that 9mm.
Thought maybe it would stop it, but nope. Went right through it. Like if it was less than it was a water balloon. It was like a helium balloon.
And I dug out the. I'm
Anybody
not going to make this full screen because we'll see if we get taken down. But this was the wooden gun that I was talking about. It's just kind of a silhouette.
Okay, I've seen those.
I don't even remember if I ordered it online or if I got it at a shop. Or
I want to get one of those just because of the movie The Other Guys.
Anybody watch the new movie, like the League of Ungentlemanly Warfare or something?
no,
Never heard of it.
It's brand new, pretty much. It's the one guy who's the Punisher in the TV show, the big dude. Him
What?
and Superman, and they run.
the pre Cavill, and but it also has
Well, there's a bunch of people in it.
yeah, what's his name? We talked about the series on Amazon. Tom Cruise did the movie.
The spy show.
Now the army investigator that
Yeah, Reacher.
Reacher. Yeah, the guy from Reacher, the big guy from the TV show
Oh, is
Reacher,
that what I
doing
said?
a bad English accent.
Yeah. What did I say? That's what I meant to say. The guy from Reacher, and then Superman,
Yeah, Henry Cavill, Superman.
and then that guy, the guy from Reacher, is running around with bow and arrow. That's his deal: bow and arrow and an axe. But I guess they're the real beginnings of some stuff. Like they were the real beginnings, like OSS or something. But anyway, so in that movie, they have bow and arrow, running around shooting it, being quiet. It's a movie about the beginning of World War II. I think the beginning. Oh yeah, the beginning of World War II, right? When they're trying to clear up the ocean from submarines so that the Americans could come over and help. And this was like some espionage in order to find out if they could prevent the subs from doing their thing.
Anyway, this is now all our lake has to be capsulated styrofoam. So all this is styrofoam in here, and it has a plastic barrier. But
It's like a thermos or something, like kind of plastic.
and these are like 4 foot long or 4 foot wide and 8 foot long. This is cut in half, and this is probably 2 foot, if not more, from here to here. And so sometimes boat docks have to replace these. So what we do, or basically what I do, is I take and I cut this top off, this plastic all the way around. So I have like a 4x8, and I take that plastic off. The top, I take the styrofoam out, and then the plastic, I will drill holes like along the edges, along in here. And we use these for planters for like garden stuff. And then the styrofoam I use for, shooting, bows and arrows, guns, and all that. And then plus I put them behind like my gun range, behind the backboards and stuff like that. And you'd be surprised how you can shoot that with a bullet, and it's probably not going to go through it. I need to actually do a video on that. And you're not going to see styrofoam on the ground either. It's really dense stuff. I
You
mean,
should do a video on that.
Is that all wet and gross, or is it all clean and it's never been touched before?
well, this one's a brand new one.
I know.
But,
When you pull it out of a lake after it's done, is it all like waterlogged and gross, or is the styrofoam?
sometimes they'll get like a hole in them, so they get waterlogged. So they replace them. And then sometimes our Corps of Engineers, we used to just have the styrofoam, no capsulate, no plastic, So as they were replacing them, you could get like tons and tons of the styrofoam for free, because they would have to, pay,
I've seen those, but they're all full
haul
like
them off or
algae on the
whatever.
outside. They're all full like algae on the outside, aren't they?
Yeah,
all waterlogged inside then?
Yeah, without the capsulation on them, they would like start to deteriorate. Some that's down in the water, you would have algae on them and all that. But now most lakes have all gone to this capsulated foam, But then again, sometimes they'll leak, they'll get waterlogged. You cut them open, you get the styrofoam out of there, you let it set. And it might take a while, but eventually it won't be waterlogged. And it's still good even if it's waterlogged. It's just you need a machine to pick them up and move them because they're very, very heavy. But yeah, they're very, very dense. If you should have broadhead into this, you have to push the arrow all the way through to get it out, unscrew it. And then even if you're just using practice tips, like you have to put your foot up against the edge and pull with both hands just to get the arrow back out. I mean, and you know, you can imagine like a 4x4 piece of this leaned up against a tree or a fence. You know, you'd have like a painted circle here, painted circle here. And the reason we would do that, basically not to wear a hole in it, but also when you're shooting arrows, you don't want to split your arrows. You know, you don't want to hit them again. You know, so if you're shooting the same target, so you shoot here and then here, then here, or whatever. You know, but yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. It's not going to fall apart on you by any means. It's probably it would outlast your grandchildren, you know, as far as that goes. And so I didn't know, like, if you knew what I was talking about. That's the only reason I pulled up this picture. And most places that have lakes at all have if they have boat docks, something like this is underneath them. That's what's keeping them afloat most usually.
Does that just pop right out of there, or is it an ordeal to get it out?
Is it glued into plastic or?
No, well, I've not had any trouble getting them out. I mean, you have to kind of like get them upside down and work them a little bit, you know, all the way around.
But it's like pulling thread out of a pan. It's not like I'm thinking of like insulation when they spray foam insulation.
Yeah, no, it's not like stuck to the hard plastic.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, I took some of those, and it actually worked out really well. Believe it or not, once I got the styrofoam out, I had more than enough. And I took a chainsaw and cut out the whole insides of it, left about 6 inches all the way around. And I cut all the way through, so there was just dirt on the bottom. We filled that up with rocks on the bottom and then dirt, and we'd plant green beans, all kinds of stuff in there because that styrofoam holds moisture, you know, a little bit. Not a lot, but it will hold moisture. So when you water it, you can kind of soak down the edge of the styrofoam and you don't have to water your garden as much. And I've seen a lot of people who cut those in bricks. They'll bury them along the edge of their garden, all the way in the ground, just right at the, you know, top edge. And that way the around their garden, it helps hold the moisture in for the garden. Yeah.
You ever seen where you take like a wire and you stretch it like on a hanger or something, and then you get like a battery, and then you can like essentially carve into styrofoam?
Yeah, the hot knives.
Yeah, we had a styrofoam cutter in Votech in high school that basically worked that same principle. It's just a wire that would heat up.
Wouldn't that be fun as hell to have a thing as giant as that to go at it with a giant hot wire and carve something out of that?
You'd have to get a big one, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Get a big, but I've seen people just make those out of a battery and stuff. It's just got to get the wire hot. It's just only styrofoam.
I got a picture somewhere my wife took of me. I was chainsawing this stuff, and it was the summertime. I was sweaty and stuff. I looked like a white part. I had styrofoam pieces all over me, in my hair, on my face, everywhere, because, you know, it has like a stack of electricity in it, you know. And I literally looked like a little mini abominable snowman or whatever. I'll have to dig that picture up and share it.
X Adam One's out there. He's out losing money to the casinos.
Uh-oh.
I'm sure they appreciate it.
Yeah, he did a live chat not very long ago. Hope he's going to do some more of those.
Yep.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Oh, Guns and
Just
Water
say-
sent in some Gorn.
Another place that you can get styrofoam like that is at a boat halls.
Oh yeah, I guess you could, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah, I say because when Hillbilly started talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, I've gotten to shoot some of that stuff. And as long as you're, like he said, not shooting the same hole over and over and over, it's really densely packed stuff. It doesn't really break up. But if you just keep deciding to shoot the same hole, eventually it will start to break up. But it's not like
Yeah, it's not going to self heal
Sty-
or anything like that.
No.
yeah, and so it's not like styrofoam like people traditionally think of, like your TV comes packed in or anything like that, where it turns into like a bunch of little beads. It'll just almost like chip out.
So Guns and Water sent in a picture of his Smith & Wesson 617.
Yeah, it's a true Gorn picture. Look at that.
Oh, nice.
All your really cool kids have a Gorn.
That is a nice gun.
What did that Gorn ever do to him?
And you can get those on Amazon. I may or may not have a link on my Amazon store to a Gorn.
It's a pretty cool one.
That's where I got mine.
I really like that 619.
I want that Smith & Wesson 22 revolver. What's it hold? 10 rounds or something?
If you can find it.
I can't remember the model, but that'd be such a fun gun to shoot.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, those are pricey. I mean,
Mhm.
just because they're so hard to find. Like,
Say Taurus used to make one too, and it's almost impossible to find.
yeah, the Smith I would love to have, but when I did find one, I think I was on Gunbroker and I saw the price. I was like, nope.
Yeah, he said that's a 617. Yeah, that's that they are expensive for a 22. But
Yeah, for sure.
talking about no recoil with the weight of that revolver.
Yeah, if you don't, unless you're hung up on the 10 rounds versus 6 thing on the cylinder, there's a lot more, just shall we say, economical options to shoot 22 LR.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Don't get me wrong, I do love a 22 revolver.
Yeah, a couple of them sitting around here. But yeah, that's
If you have a light strike, just shoot them again.
Mhm.
Wrangler, Rough Rider, Barkeep, and then there's some of the compact ones even in the Ruger line and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I almost bought a Wrangler one time. This was back during the cough and everything was
Yeah, I was looking at them too.
but I don't enjoy shooting 22, and I couldn't find anything else, and it kind of looked cool, so I was going to buy it. It's like, no, don't buy it. You're not going to enjoy it.
It's because you're a recoil junkie. We've had this discussion. So you need to get an NAA mini revolver, something that will even kick a little bit with 22 long rifle, or definitely 22 Magnum. It'll kick a little bit. Nothing major, but at least it's something for you to feel, so you can feel excited again. Just saying.
Well, on the pre-show tonight, MacMan is showing this new Python. This is a snub nose 44 Magnum. I think that might have a little recoil.
That might be a little too much.
Yeah, those are really nice looking guns, but kind of expensive.
Mm-hmm. You can always get something in a 4570. You like that recoil on a revolver.
Oh, the Python's 357, the Anaconda's 44 mag.
Okay. It's a snake gun. I can't remember what he said, but yeah, it is.
Either way, it's going to be pretty overpriced.
And the cylinder wasn't fluted. That just, I don't know, that just even sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hillbilly, was it you I was talking to? I was telling you about hearing what I thought was an explosion the other day
Yeah, what
in my
was that?
apartment. Well, come to find out, a number of people in town heard it too, so it wasn't just me, so it wasn't in my building. And according to the sheriff's office, somebody east of town was shooting some tannerite that evening. But half the town, evidently, it shook their homes. So it was quite the noise. It's like somebody said it was a sonic boom. It's like, come on, I know what a sonic boom's like. They don't typically make things shake in your house.
That's the
That'd have to be a lot of tannerite.
that's the town's code word. That's the town's code word for somebody was shooting 145 ACP round.
That's probably true too. People around here are used to hearing 9mm. Yeah.
They're lucky you didn't rip a time warp right in the middle of the town there.
Rip the town's lung out.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful with that 45.
Oh,
Doug
wow.
Waters says the
Yeah.
King Cobra comes in 22 now.
Really?
Wow.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That'd be a real expensive 22.
Be a heck of a bull barrel on that, probably.
I'm pretty sure Slim Cowboy picked up one of those in 22.
I mean, we used to sell dynamite and it wouldn't shake people's house that bad across the town. That'd be a heck of a lot of tannerite.
Depends on what they're doing with it.
I think they were shooting it.
I had a friend of mine a few years ago. They had this old silo on their farm that they wanted taken down. And so they had a party and put a bunch of tannerite at the base of this silo and was having people shoot at it from several hundred yards away with precision rifles and stuff like that, see who could set it off. So, something big enough to take a silo down is pretty good size, I'd say. Or a tree. Sometimes people do that.
Yeah.
Hey, if we got to blow it up anyway, let's have some fun doing it.
Yeah, it would be fun, but I don't know, man. I mean, I like tannerite's fun, but man, it's really, really strict right now, but some dynamite and blasting caps, wire, we just had to do a lot of it during excavating, and it's just a lot of fun to watch that stuff go off, especially when you have somebody that's really good licensed, explosive expert, because each one of those caps, they got different numbers of delays and all that stuff, and then just the blasting cap by itself, most usually they put it at the very end on top of the ground so they know all the charges went off. That blasting cap will go off too at the end. And that blasting cap sitting on top of the ground is loud. I mean, but that's the first thing to do is they go down and check that end blasting cap and make sure it went off, because if it didn't go off, then that means all the dynamite didn't go off, and they got to go searching to find out where the last deal was, because more than likely we had to dig that out, and you don't want to dig up some live gel with blasting caps in it. And so, but it is really exciting to watch that stuff go off.
Guns and barbecue.
Yes, boss.
Is there anything you would like to plug?
I put out a video on Thursday. I would encourage people not to watch it because I'm sure it's pretty rough. Life's busy. I'm going to try and get more content out as I can. I would like to start getting back to doing like a video a week, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, I think that's all I got. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, no problem. Hopefully you can get back into the groove and get some videos out there. Guns and Waters. I took a class on high explosives in Western PA near West Virginia. A machine gun rental guy runs it. The one rule, if you can see the explosion, it can get you. So you can see shooting binary breaks the number one rule.
Is that down by Washington, PA there? Guns and Water? I think I know the place that he's talking about.
That's why when I shoot tannerite on the other side of walls, I shoot up and then back down onto it, like just lob.
Mike McClune's out there, and Larry Knopf creeping in at the end here. Gizzard, anything you want to plug? You've got a chat tomorrow?
I do. The rescheduled Foul Territory is later this evening, should we say.
Do you know
That'd
what
be
time?
Sunday night at 9:00 p.m. Central Time.
Metric.
I don't even know what metric is. So I'm not calling it
Evidently, it's
Central
Central Time.
So anyway, that's we'll be having the show, and then as scheduled this coming week, Friday, I did have some last minute, as I said earlier, family things come up. My daughter wanted me to come down there Friday night and attend a party with her that other parents were attending. It was a co-worker's party, and some co-workers' parents were going to be there, and she wanted me to come. And besides, her husband was ill, so I did that and then spent the night. So I was thinking about coming home, leaving the party early and doing my show from there, and it's like, why do that? Why spoil the party and have to take separate vehicles and everything else? So just like, let's just postpone the chat. I don't do it very often, but one of those family things come up I don't get asked to do very often, and that's the choice I made. So hopefully everybody will understand. I'll see them later tonight.
I think everybody will understand.
Heck
Oh,
yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm
So
having
I
trouble
hope-
understanding. Can you repeat that?
Say what?
Said I'm having trouble understanding. Can you repeat that?
Repeat which part?
I think everybody will understand.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, thanks for having me.
Hillbilly, how about you? Anything you want to plug? You want
Yeah. Probably need to plug the hole in the bathtub or trying to pull that drain out. It always all the water runs out. But yeah, as far as the channel goes, yeah, we got Guns, Beer, and Therapy on Saturday nights, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. And I believe it'll be 8 o'clock Pacific time. But anyway, we always just try to have a good time over there. Everybody's always welcome. I got some videos coming out. The wind finally quit blowing so dang hard that, we'll have mic problems. So we got some more videos coming out. And anyway, thanks for having me on, buddy. I always appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you jumping in. And for next Wednesday will be a mouse party, and then next weekend is an off weekend, so no overnight. Appreciate everybody that was in the live chat, chit chatting out there.
I
That's what happens at a Renaissance fair.
love it.
Turkey leg and a bottle of mead. There you go.
I like that hoodie. We need to meme
It was
that.
cold.
Cornholio.
You dressed up in the traditional Renaissance hoodie.
Yeah, the hen said I needed to buy some traditional gear, which they do have for sale there. I looked in the first booth and the capes started around $85. I'm like, I don't need to get dressed up that bad.
I didn't know they had Unabombers at Renaissance.
No,
Um,
it was 50 degrees and windy.
He's
So
a hip hop friar.
I was just trying to stay warm at that point. I didn't bring a heavier jacket with me, so I had to stay warm in my hoodie. So it's like, okay, I'm going to keep the wind away from my face as much as possible, keep my ears warm. Yeah, it looks like cornholio, but is what it is.
And that leg there looks pretty tasty, though.
Well, the little bit of it I could eat, there's no way you can finish one of those. That's like 2 pounds of meat on there. But at Guns and Barbecue, you heard me talking earlier about them burning the heck out of that skin. See what I'm talking about there?
Well, he probably doesn't.
Yeah. He can see some. Anyway.
I'm trying to zoom in and see it.
Oh.
No foil? Come on.
No foil, just a... Will you hold still?
Friar Tuck.
Oh, yeah, it does look a little dark.
It's a little dark. I mean, once you got into the meat itself tasted pretty good. But, yeah, $18 for that drumstick.
Dang.
Do they soak it in something, or is it just the meat flavor?
I don't know. It didn't have barbecue sauce or anything. This bottle of meat was only $15 in comparison. So
For $18, it better come with a happy ending.
it did not. I can tell you that much right now.
You look at the size of that turkey leg,
Yeah,
and
it's
part of
big.
me is like, I'd like to see how big that bird was in the first place.
Yeah. Might have been like an ostrich leg or something like that.
That's what I was kind of wondering. Like, do they just go around murdering baby ostriches?
They claimed it was a turkey.
One big turkey.
As I said, I appreciate everybody that was out in the chat. And if you were out there and didn't say anything, I do appreciate you too. Don't be afraid to speak up. If you're watching this replay, leave a comment. Anything we talked about, agree with, disagree with. What's your favorite movie with a gun in it? And in the description, there's a link for the Gilded server. It's a place to hang out, chit chat, share memes. You can get a hold of me or pretty much anybody else that comes on the chats through the Gilded. And other than that, I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.
You still here? It's over. Go home.